Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the one and only Rylas Dana. How you doing, Rylas?
Amazing. Always glad to be here. I love the chance that I get to participate, not just watch the content, that I can jump in here and participate as well.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being a part of our weekly expert series. Remind people what your day job is.
Yeah, so my day job here. So when I'm not doing YouTube videos with you, I'll turn off my colored lights
Yeah.
and I go back and forth from meeting clients here for estate planning and
Yep.
probate,
Yep.
trust administration
Mhm.
is my day job.
So you are an attorney, a lawyer. I'm not sure. Is there a
Yep,
difference?
same thing, I
Same
guess.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So yeah, you're a licensed attorney and a lawyer in the state of Arizona and California, correct?
correct.
That
So
is
that's
awesome.
that's my day job, and that's kind of got me into real estate.
Mhm.
So I was in into it before I knew it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, right. Probate, you're talking entities, trust, LLCs, all of those things. Then you obviously got a part of Pace Morby's sub two community there in Arizona, which brought you over to one rental at a time, which I appreciate you being my resident attorney in the expert series. So thank you for doing this.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of my story. So
Awesome. So
estate
let's,
planning by day,
yep.
so solving problems for people. I got introduced to Pace and
Mhm.
we became friends because I like his attitude and helping people and the creative finance world.
Yeah. So in that ilk creative financing, I want to spend some specific time on seller financing. I believe, as I think Pace Morby would believe as well, the next couple of years, as the economy struggles, recession, not recession, long, short, deep, shallow, who knows? Housing market certainly in a recession, possibly in a depression. There's going to be an opportunity for seller financing. And I actually think there's going to be kind of two ilks. One is going to be what I am marketing to sellers who've owned property for years, possibly decades, who have large percentage of equity, who maybe are just done, right? They're tired of the eviction moratoriums and hassles and rent control and all of those other things. And then in fairness, there's also going to be people with little equity that maybe need to do subject to kind of stuff. In this video, I want to talk about the first because I have a lot of people that don't think seller financing is legal. And it's like, well, I got this guy I talked to on Monday who's an attorney. So I'll just ask him point blank. Rylas, is seller financing legal?
Yes.
Just yes. Just is, right?
Yeah, like yeah, if you want to loan me $1 to buy a pack of gum at the store, that's
Say,
legal.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
same thing, just different level.
Yeah. So yeah. Again, folks, in seller financing can be done when you have debt on a property. Again, one of the things that I'm marketing to are people who have 50% equity or more, because I have set up a structure with a non-QM lender to do what I'm calling a 50-40-10, where the non-QM lender will come in with 50%. Let's just use some numbers. Let's say it's a $300,000 purchase and the debt on the building is 150 in this example. In this case, I come in for 50%, 150 grand. That debt's paid off. Velocity Mortgage is in first. And then I negotiate with the seller. Does the seller want the other 50 in cash? Do they want the other 50 in some cash, some debt? The seller will, in this case, take a second, which again, completely legal, right? You can have a first, you can have a second. There was a time in the 80s where people had thirds on mortgages. So again, all of this is legal. It really is you, the buyer, and they, the seller, talking, understanding what they want, what you want, and can you find a deal, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So it's really just a matter of finding the seller where where it aligns with their interest, right? With the seller where they're looking for, they don't need all the cash right now.
Mhm.
And maybe they're looking for an income stream, but they're sick of being a landlord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, one of the biggest aha or light bulb moments for some people is a fact that many don't understand or get. You walk up to somebody who owns a property, they've owned it for 30 years, they're going to sell it. they're gonna exit title, with a check or a wire for 400 grand. I want you to hear me right now. A $400,000 check or a wire is actually a problem. It's a problem. It's like, what am I going to do with this? There are a lot of people who quite simply look at a $400,000 check as a problem. Like, what am I going to do with this? Is my family going to come after it? All of this. There are a lot of people that would say, you know what? I'll take 40 grand, pay my agent, take a little walk around money, take a cruise. And then I just want an income stream for the rest of my life. And then when I die, hey, I'll pass on the asset, which is the mortgage to the kids. I mean, you have a lot of people that I'm sure you work with in your estate practice where a big check like that is a problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I like asking the questions to the sellers, what are you going to do with the proceeds?
Yeah.
And if they already have plans, you know what I mean? If they need the money to go here or somewhere there,
yeah,
then they're probably not a good fit for seller financing.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're like, I don't know, I'm
I
going to
no
reinvest
idea
it somewhere.
Yeah.
So the deal I got on seller financing, that was kind of the situation. So she depreciated the property, so it had a low basis.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to sell to lock in the high prices in Phoenix.
Good for her.
And her plan was to 1031 into another property.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I got introduced to the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started talking to the seller, like, my question was, do you already have a place picked out?
Right.
Like, do you already have the next 1031 picked out?
Mm-hmm.
If so, that makes sense, right? That's a good strategy. That's what you taught in your
Mm-hmm.
book, one rental at a time,
It
or
worked.
one of the things taught there, but you showed a good example of that.
Thank you. Yep, I did.
So great strategy, but that wasn't her answer. She was like, I don't know yet.
Yeah, again, folks, 1031s are very date and time sensitive. Just saying you're going to 1031 is a bad strategy because you start that clock. Rylas, this is just unfortunate, but yet again true. I've seen more bad 1031s than good 1031s. It's because people just get caught and they're running away from taxes and they do a bad deal. It's just bad.
Yeah, so they add the tax savings into the deal type of a thing, right? And then they can end up with an alligator because
exactly.
they just they needed somewhere to put the money.
Yeah.
So in this case, she didn't have another property.
Yeah.
So the way I introduced it is like, you have another option. Instead of being a landlord again, buying another property that you own, you can change your position from holding the deed, holding the ownership,
correct,
to holding a note like the bank does, where you have a security interest in the property.
And again, right, when you do a seller transaction, you need to do these through escrow or through a real estate attorney based on your state. But yeah, you are recording a deed which transfers ownership from seller to you as the buyer, but then they get a note which is recorded and is a financial asset. So, Rylas, as an estate attorney, if somebody passed and they had a collection of notes, is that not part of their estate and thus just handled in the estate process?
Correct. It's an asset. If you own the right to be paid, if you own the debt, it's an asset.
Exactly.
So yeah, ideally that note should be owned in a revocable trust. And then it gets passed on to the kids without probate. Or if it's not in trust, or depending on your state, it's part of the estate. It's an asset.
Yeah. People need to realize that they don't get it. And again, another thing that people don't realize is this is a financial asset that not only could be handled during an estate or probate or via a trust, but let's just say I do a loan like your seller, and 2 years from now, they just want to sell the note. There are note buyers. There are entire industry out there that is very happy to buy a note. Now they're going to buy at a discount because they're going to discount it for the interest rate and time and all of that. But that thing has a dollar value today, does it not?
Yes, it's an asset. There's value, and you can sell an asset. There's a market to sell these types of assets.
Yeah,
so
that's essentially what non-QM and securitization of mortgages are. All these entities out there, Rocket Mortgage, for example, you think they're doing all these mortgages and they're holding the notes? No chance. I bet their average hold period is 60 days. And then they just package it up in a bundle and sell it off for a discounted cash flow and replenish their warehouse lines. It's just how it works.
Yeah. So if the buyer and seller can can come together, or if they're open to these things, there's a lot more ways to strike a deal that benefits
Absolutely.
both sides.
Yeah.
And instead of going out and get new financing,
Hmm.
just figure out what type of return the seller wants to receive,
Hmm.
what their goals are, if they need some cash right now.
Yeah. And again, actually, one of my interviews yesterday, people got to watch with Keto, who's in Billings, Montana. It went public at 7 p.m. yesterday. One of the creative deals he did, seller financing, was I think it was a $300,000 property. The seller wanted 10% cash, and then he would hold the note, like 270 grand. Keto wanted to come in for only 5%. So their kind of go back and forth is Keto will bring 5% to the table at closing today, and then the other 5% is paid in increments. The next is 2.5% is paid in a year, and then the other 2.5% is paid the next year. That's the down payment. So essentially, Keto's going to use the cash flow from the building to fund the next 2.5 and the next 2.5. So again, you can get as creative as you want. You could get 0%. You can get delayed financing. You can get, balloons. It's up for you and the seller to negotiate, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's by doing that deal, it benefits both sides, right? Had he had to go get financing, it wouldn't work,
It wouldn't have worked. Exactly.
and the
Exactly.
seller wouldn't have received as much money on their end.
Yeah. And again, what people will realize if they watch the video is Keto actually negotiated 0% deal. He's doing from memory. You can watch the video. He's paying $1,000 a month for 7 years, so 84 payments, all principal.
Yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful thing.
Beautiful
So it's
thing. And again, seller
possible.
agreed.
It's
It's
real. It
it's real. It's
happens.
possible. It happens all the time. You have to find them. It's not everywhere. Not every seller is open. You have to talk. You have to listen. Again, you listen to Keto. He had multiple conversations with the seller, built a relationship. Because again, what you don't realize, Keto and the seller are going to be in a 7-year relationship. They just are.
What's the seventh year? Is there a balloon at
It's a
7?
balloon. Yeah. Balloon at 7 years.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So again, it could be extended, whatever, but it's in at least a 7-year relationship. So again, folks, get creative. These are possible. And again, I think a real estate slowdown, which could be as much as 30 to 50% transaction crash, is going to open up opportunities. Keto will tell you, and he told us in the video, he overpaid. But hey, I'll overpay for an asset with 0% interest, and I can split the down payment over 3 years. No problem.
yeah, so I guess two things. So one is overpay. It's
Mhm.
about the terms, right? That's why it works. So one people say, like, some people say, like, why would anyone ever do this? And say, well, I overpaid,
I
right? So
have. Yeah.
so that's what you let the seller, right? You let them
Mhm.
get a win by, hey, look
Absolutely.
at this. I sold my house for X.
Yeah.
I got someone to pay me X, and they're happy about the number.
Mhm.
But the
Yeah.
buyer's bragging, I got terms of 0%.
Exactly.
I
Everybody feels good. Yeah.
so
Yeah, again, I know there's a guy that I'm sure he told his friends that he got this stupid California investor to buy a 120 house in a 100 market. What he's not
yeah.
telling them is I had zero down and 0% interest for 30 years or something. It was, I'll do that all day, no problem.
Yeah, so I've seen this question a lot in the private Facebook group and on social media. They say, how do you bring it up?
Let's do it. Yeah,
You just ask. You just ask them.
yeah,
That's it. You ask. Are they open to terms?
yeah, yeah. And again, a lot of people will not know what it means, so you can talk about it. A lot of them will not understand it. A lot of people, a lot of sellers, I would say more than half the time, the sellers where I bring it up, I just ask, as you say, they don't even know it's possible. They're just they just think they can buy and sell. Most of them don't even mentally make the shift that they could be a bank. So you have to do some education. I think a lot of people, the reason seller financing doesn't quote unquote work a lot is because a lot of people trying it don't understand it. Right. I had a CPA on my channel. And in the course, a bonus section, talk about how to position it. Right. You talk about income, talk about removing a headache, talk about depreciation recapture, talk about lowering year one taxes. There are all these benefits that you must become comfortable with before you pitch it to someone, because they'll see right through you. And if they get nervous or they don't trust you, there's no chance.
Yeah. So number one, just ask, like, if they're open to it, and then yeah, a lot of times they don't know. That's when I like to follow up. Well, what are you going to do with the money?
Exactly.
And then see if you can work at, see what their goals are.
Mm-hmm.
and see if you can work out a strategy that meets their goals.
Yeah, there's three things that I will tell you to itch and get comfortable at. One, a couple of them are obvious, but we'll talk about them all here. One is they're just a frustrated landlord, which typically means they got used to cash flow, but they don't like the headache. So what happens if I can remove the headache and you can keep cash flow? I would learn to make that pitch. Number two, it's surprising how many people hate the IRS.
Not really.
Lots of people hate them. It's okay. I use that. I push that button. Do you hate the IRS? Do you hate paying taxes? Do you know there's this thing called an installment loan, which means you can take your profit and turn it into an installment payments and pay taxes as payments received versus one big chunk. Now I have an accounting degree. I understand that. I had a CPA walk people through it. So that's another talk track. And then the last one is, again, do you want income instead of having a headache? It is amazing how many people, again, go back to our first example, that look at a $400,000 check as a problem. It is a headache for a lot of people. So get comfortable, learn the talk track, practice, and then just ask, as you said.
Yeah, and then don't put your brain in the seller's brain, right? Some people are like, why would they do that? Why would they ever do that? I would never do that. So don't.
I hear that all the time. Michael, I know you talk about 0%. I know you heard Keto talked about getting a 0% down deal. I would never do that. Well, good news. You don't own shit, and I ain't talking to you. So it doesn't freaking matter. It's amazing. Yeah, don't put your mind in their situation. You don't know them. Ask. Get comfortable.
Yeah, and then you're an economist. I'm a lawyer by trade, but I would say my biggest problem in this world is getting too technical.
Yeah.
You got to keep
Shocking,
it simple.
A lawyer gets too technical. Yes.
Right, right. Yeah. So you got to keep it super simple. So I think some people are intimidated. They don't want to bring it up yet because they don't understand, what type of contract is needed or how exactly it gets recorded. Yeah, those details don't even matter.
Don't even matter. Trust me. If you find a seller that trusts you and is willing to have the conversation, there will be a title agent that will hold your hand and walk you through the whole process. Don't overthink it. Again, I think you have to get comfortable with 3 talk tracks. Do you like income? No headaches. Do you understand? Do you want to pay less taxes now or not? And is a big check a problem? I think you just have to understand. And again, like you say, don't ever say, I would never do that. That's just such a limiting belief. Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And there will be people on this video that when we post this that will say, I would never do seller financing. And again, I will say, good, you don't own anything and I'm not talking to you. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've talked to a lot of sellers, a lot of agents. You definitely get a lot of no's. One of my favorite no's was this guy said, I let my ex-wife move in before I did that.
Great.
Like, all right. That's a no.
So that's a no. Okay. I'll move on to the next one. Yeah. Again, I do want to say that seller financing is amazing, is powerful. Pace Morby is leading the charge to show us all about what is coming for the next couple of years. But I do want to acknowledge they're not everywhere. I would even argue if you threw 100 deals in front of me, just a random 100 deals, I would think 5 to 8% might even be open to seller financing because, again, 92% of them probably don't have the equity. They don't have the position. They need the cash for their next purchase. Most of those 100 opportunities aren't seller financing. But the 5 to 8 that could be amazing win-win opportunities. And guess what, folks? You need to talk to all 100 to find the 8 or the 5. What do you think of that?
Yeah. So I think if it's 5 to 8 now, that number is just going up in the next couple of years. I think, next year, maybe it's, 10 to 12. Right. And then, next year, even more than that. So
learn the skill. Again, follow along. Pace Morby has a YouTube channel. I know he does this Sunday service every week. I think they just did a video, him and Cody, on how to get started. I would recommend people take a look at that. So Rylas, any other thoughts on seller financing? I know it's a big, important part of your business. Again, financial assets, completely legal, coming from an attorney. It is possible, whether you believe it or not. Don't ever put your mind, don't ever answer for the seller. Just ask and shut up.
Yeah. So I think it's a great tool. So I think it helps me as an attorney, just, when I'm representing estates and trust, and I have a lot of estate planning clients too who are in a position with property, and wanting to know what to do with them. Options are great, right? The more options you have, it's better. So just understanding that other option, for the agents out there, the realtors, it's something you should learn as well. Some of them have been kind of negative on it in the past, but
Mhm.
I think it's a good thing to distinguish yourself in this changing market. If you can bring more options to your clients, that's always a good thing.
Yeah, if you happen to be an agent in Fresno, Madera, California, and you have a seller with 50% equity or more and you can't get somebody to buy, please reach out to me. I want to deploy $1 million or $2 million all on seller financing. I will get you paid. I'll let you double in the transaction. So reach out to me. We can have a conversation and see if we can't create a win-win situation. Rylas, if somebody wanted to reach out to you for estate planning or trusts, how do you want them to do that?
So you can go to rylisdana.com. You can find the website to my law firm there, danalegalhelp.com. And you can find all my contact info there. Same, I love it. So I've been telling the agents in the Phoenix market, yeah, if things aren't selling, you want other options, call me. If they're interested in seller financing, we can structure a win-win-win. We'll get you paid
Mm-hmm.
on what might be an expired listing and
Exactly.
nothing.
Yeah.
And we'll make you look good to your clients, right? You'll show them you got
Other
more than just
options.
a regular agent.
Yeah. Again, folks, I think there's a lot of things coming. I've been very clear. I attended an event in Southern California, spent thousands of dollars of my own money because I wanted to add more tools to my tool belt. Subject to creative financing is some stuff I have to add. So I look forward to this. Rylas, thank you for being here every week. I appreciate you. Again, seller financing, Rylas, is it legal?
Yes, sir. 100%.
Thank you very much, buddy. Take care.
Thank you.